Welcome back to Peaks 47. First of all, I'm just going to show you how to make some convincing looking trees for your layout. So this is sea foam. You can get this from numerous places. Looks quite a convincing tree as it is. You can always leave them like this if you're doing an autumn or winter layout, or if you're doing a spring and summer layout, you can add some greenery to it, or if you just want some variation, you can mix them up, leave some looking like this, and then others put some foliage on. So first thing we're going to do is just spray some instant spray contact adhesive in it. And this is what I use, quite a cheap one. So it's just a case of giving it a nice even wet coat. And then the second thing to do is just add some basic scatter. I've got two colours here. One's a darker green, the other one's a bit lighter, just to give it some variation. So it's just a case of sprinkling it on, get a good coverage of it, and as you can see already, that's starting to look like quite a convincing tree. So I always just put a different colour on, just a little bit lighter, just to break it up a little bit. And then I just finish off the WWS static grass layering spray. Nice wet coat of that. And in under a minute, you've got yourself quite a convincing tree. You could always paint the trunk a darker brown if you wanted to. I think this one naturally looks quite good. Some of them are quite red and they need painting, but not a lot of effort, and a pretty good looking tree. We've made a few more trees now, just adding them behind the cottages. Some weathering to do on the cottages yet. They look far too new and clean as they are for now, but just thought I'd give you an idea of what the trees look like when they're in situ. Blending quite nicely with the back scene and the front scene along here. Really quick and simple way to get some good looking trees on your layout. I'm just going to do some airbrushing on these Metcalfe cottages. I'm using a water-based product that I usually use. It's the Vallejo RAL 9021. I've already done the other model, just thought I'd show you. Haven't gone too mad with it, just a bit round the chimney pots, a little bit under the sills, obviously where it joins the ground. It makes quite a difference just taking that newness off. So we're going to do this one now. And just really light strokes. Got the airbrush set on lots of air and a lot of paint. So as you can see, with not much effort and not much time, just tones them down a bit, makes them look like they've been stood there more than 30 seconds. So this area's coming on now. I've got the telegraph poles that I've got a weather put in place. Airbrushed a little path down by the hut. Started doing some more dry stone walls for the boundaries. Perhaps do a little hop over style here. Perhaps some more trees in this area. So I've been doing a little bit of homework on telegraph poles. Didn't have much of an idea about telegraph poles, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, I was concerned about all the different variations I've seen online on all these bars. So from what I've read, from what I can work out, the more bars you've got, the more the demand. So in a rural area where these are generally just going to a couple of cottages, maybe a signal box, you wouldn't need this amount of bars. 2 would suffice. And when I've looked also on images of telegraph poles in 1947, this seems to match that evidence. So before I weather them, I'm just going to cut 6 off, so 3 this side, 3 the other side. 2 at the top seems to be what I can find is pretty accurate. Just going to add some detail to these dry stone walls. Just going to add some moss to the top of them, like you've seen in the previous clip. Just break them up a little bit so they're not quite as uniform. I'm just using a bit of basin glue on a paintbrush. So I'm using T44 burnt grass for this. I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit on top. And don't want too much, just a bit in random places. Do a little bit over here, just to break it up a little bit. So I might try some different colours and some different products. Got this one to try out yet. It's forest ground cover. Just a good bit of debris really. This might work quite well. So just in the around the edges here, perhaps along here. I've actually tried a little bit there. Just breaks the uniform up a little bit. It's quite nice to have some different colours. There's a couple of little bits that I've just laid in place here just to see what I think.